Chris speaks here tonight with Robert McCollum, who was a PSC candidate and made it to the runoff against Chip Baker before ultimately getting defeated in the runoff this past summer's here with me tonight, and came on to talk about something that affecting all Alabamians. The Public Service Commission has just did the second rate increase in less than 4 months on the citizens of Alabama. How do you feel about that, Robert?
Well, my question is anybody surprised? I said this was going to happen during my entire campaign. You reelect Chip Baker, you're voting for rate increases.
What about with Mr. Odom? Was he not following that same the Commissioner Kavanaugh? I mean, seems like they're all three.
Well, all three voted for the rate increase, so ultimately they're to blame. This is my outlook on it. The United States was founded on your right to vote, and the citizens of Alabama voted for who they want. And in this case, when you vote for who you want, you get what you asked for. And in this case, they got what they asked for.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. It was $6 the first time and $10 this last time. So that's $16 they put on each household in the state of Alabama.
Correct.
And there's around 1.5 million households, so that comes to what?
Correct. That comes to
what?
That comes to several $1 million a month. Like upwards of around $20-something million a month.
I think 20, I think 1.5. Yeah. So we're over $100 million a year. Now this is to pay for fuel increases, right?
Correct. That's the same.
They have a $6 increase when gas was almost $5 a gallon in the summer, and now that it's dropped $1 a gallon, they're having a $10 increase.
Correct. I mean, the excuse they're going to use is fuel prices to justify a rate increase when fuel prices have dropped around 50, 60 cents since they did the last dollar rate increase.
So this is their reason for doing this again. I mean, to me, here I thought it was the biggest in your face doing it 2 days after the runoff last time. To me, this shows that they care nothing about the Alabama voter, that they take their vote for granted. They're going to go back into office to put a rate increase 4 days before a general election.
Right, and I think that's wrong. I think they're taking the Alabama voter, taking advantage of the Alabama voter, in my opinion.
You think they could be in for a wake-up call?
I will say this. I am supporting the Republican Party 100%, but citizens of Alabama have the right to exercise their right to vote for whoever they choose.
I will be voting my conscience in that race, and I will not be supporting those two candidates for the Republican Party. I can say that. I will nothing to get me to vote for those two. I mean, this has been a den of thieves, and it just continues to get worse. And what's going to happen when fuel rises back in the fall? Are we going to start looking at 2 rate increases a year now?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Is one commissioner leading the charge for this, or all 3 of them together, or is it just? I mean, they don't have open hearings.
No, they have what you call an informal rate hearing, which that is that nobody has to be under oath in that hearing, whereas the formal rate hearing, you take the oath.
How would you have voted on these rate increases?
With the rising inflation, I mean, the burden of having to pay these outrageous gas prices, these outrageous grocery store prices, I mean, it would have been a clear, unequivocal no. We don't need.
Right here at the holidays.
Do what?
Especially right here at the holidays too. People getting ready for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and you're taking money out of people's pockets.
Right. I would want to work with utility companies to find out if I was on the PSC right now, I would want to work with utility companies to find out how we can bring these costs down. I mean, they say they're fighting the Biden agenda. If you're fighting the Biden agenda, you'd be working on bringing these costs down for the citizens of Alabama and not going up.
That is a great point you just made right there. Say that again.
if you're fighting, I mean, you know, if you're fighting the Biden agenda like they all say they are, you would be working on getting rates down instead of running them up.
Points you just made right there. I hope people catch it. And people who listen to this heard that and pay attention to what you just said. That was a great point. What other things do you think could be done to help the ratepayers and still help the utility companies not lose money?
Do what now?
What other things do you think can be done to be help the ratepayers get a fair shake as well as the utility companies? You know, I don't want to see the shareholders and everybody, you know, lose all their money in it, but I don't want to see the ratepayers paying, you know, out the wazoo either.
Well, I feel like ratepayers should be paying an affordable rate. That's why I ran for the PSC. And there's several things that can be done. One of the things, which I hit on in my campaign, is ending the solar tax, which is pretty much extortion on the citizens of Alabama that want to make the choice to go solar. Mm-hmm. And another thing is we need to stop this hidden tax that's going on at the PSC. That's pretty much nothing more than a slush fund, is what I call it.
That's a good way to describe it too. I mean, you hit on two very good points there. I mean, they're punishing people for using the sun. You know, the 29 or 39,000 people. I mean, it stops at nothing. Or something else. What was I supposed to ask you about? Oh God. Actually, what was I fixing to ask you? I don't give my time. There was doing oh, I have to come back to it. Yeah, this yeah, like I said, that's a slush fund. I mean, that thing's generating 20, 15, $20 million every single year.
Every year. And like I said, with the rising inflation, I mean, we could give that money back to the ratepayers at the end of the year.
Yeah, instead of it going to fit these projects up in you know, North Alabama to pay for their cronies.
And where North Alabama is on TVA, which is not even regulated by the PSC.
They fall up under federal, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, they're not even regulated. We're going in there helping them. You know, I wish that I had two great questions for you, and I someone was talking about earlier the rising fuel prices, and you know, we're paying 3 public service commissioners supposed to be driving from Coleman County and Greene County to go to Montgomery every day. But
and then they expect us to pay another $16 a month. That's ridiculous.
I mean, what is this? What are they exactly transporting with this fuel? The coal?
Good question. I think they are using fuel to power, you know, generators, several different things. You know, Alabama Power uses diesel fuel in most all of their trucks. And most employees at Alabama Power have a take-home vehicle. And I guess we're paying for that as well.
Well, I guess we would be if it's coming, you know, all out of these funds. Because, you know, like I was telling somebody the other day, I don't cook. I run one light at a time and run the TV and try to run as little heat as possible. And I'm paying $200 a month. And I'm like, how is this possible?
Your power bill should be at most around $125 a month. At the most.
At the most. I mean, at the most, it should be around there. And, you know, and I'm sitting there paying $200 a month, and I can't figure out how, you know, where the electricity is going because I'm not using it.
Right.
And these, you know, and another thing I wanted to bring up, you know, the public service commissioners, I've not, in my research now, and I could be wrong, I've not found where Twinkle Cavanaugh, Jeremy Oden, or Chip Beakers voted against one rate increase in Alabama Power. Just this last year alone for the utility companies, they got $14 million to run the Public Service Commission. How much money should it cost to run the Public Service Commission?
It should not cost $14 million to run the PSC. I mean, you figure up an average of everybody's salaries, and you figure up your regular bills for the office and everything, travel expenses. It should cost half that at the most.
So of course they're going to get their rate increases when they ask for it.
Of course. I mean, you look at the money. You look at the money that revenue streams generating for the PSC.
I mean, this was the biggest. And they go on their little junkets out there to these little Scottsdale, Arizona, New Orleans. They have these little conventions. That's all on the taxpayers' dime too.
Oh yeah, we're paying for them to go out there and have just the greatest time in the world. And voters can go on Facebook to Chip Baker's Facebook page, and you can see him in Orange Beach, Alabama, having a nice drink on the beach.
Now, I'd love to be able to go do that.
I would too.
And his $100,000 a year salary, and get to go to a cattle auction every Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. And my question is, what are you doing at a cattle auction when you should be at work at the PSC, working on making utility rates affordable for the citizens of Alabama?
That's a good point too. I mean, you made some very good points here tonight.
I guess according to Mr. Beaker, cattle auctions are more important than the citizens of Alabama.
Apparently they are, because what I hear, he's there every other week or however often they're there. You'll find him at a cattle auction.
And I hear it's in a state vehicle as well.
You feel what now?
I hear that it's in a state vehicle as well. It's not in his personal.
I've heard that too. It's in a state vehicle. Using state gas. Same thing I've heard with Miss Kavanaugh says she doesn't need a state car. Well, she doesn't. She lives in Montgomery, but she goes and has somebody check a car out and drive her wherever she needs to go.
You can say you don't need a state car all day long, and that's wonderful. Technically, she's not lying. She didn't take a take-home state car. She didn't take a car to take home, but she checks one in and checks one out every day. That's easy to do.
Yeah. So what other things can we do? I mean, to get this under control. I mean, because there's nobody that is. They're not answering to anybody. I mean, they're a quasi-independent group. They're not even answering to the governor. I mean, they give them a report at the end of the year.
My advice to the citizens of Alabama would be, and as I've said, I'm endorsing the Republican ticket, but my advice to them would be to call the PSC, go down to go to the PSC meetings. They're public meetings.
Twinkle Kavanaugh's office phone is listed on her website on the PSC too. You can call down there. I urge everybody to call that number and ask why our rates have went up. I'll have an article coming out, but they asked me to hold off one day so they can give me an official statement. I'm wondering what that official statement is going to be regarding this $10 rate increase.
I mean, people can agree or disagree with me on this, but I thought we elected conservative Republicans to the PSC.
That's what was fixing that. Now, thank you for bringing that up. That they claim that we're the most conservative PSC in the country, and we're not.
I mean, yeah, California, where they have the most liberal governor in the country, Gavin Newsom. They have cheaper utility bills than Alabama.
And that is a lot more wealthier state.
That is a lot more wealthier state. Under a Democrat leadership in California, they have cheaper utility bills than Alabama. That's ridiculous.
That they have some of the lowest utility rates in the nation. When they're wrong, we have the third or fourth highest.
Last time I looked was the second highest.
Second?
Number 2. Second highest.
I knew it was up there. I didn't know it was that high, but they sit there and they tell that lie. I mean, this is a den of thieves built on a house of cards that has to come crashing down. I mean, I understand you have the Republican ticket, but in my eyes, this is one vote we need to get right and send them a message.
Well, I'll say this. We've locked governors up for less than what Chip Baker has done.
Oh, I wrote an article about that the other night. We sent governors to prison. We've removed governors from office for less than, we've sent governors to prison for less than what Chip Baker's done. We've removed governors for less than what Jeremy Odin's done.
But of course, let me say this. Chip Baker rightfully defeated me in the runoff. He is the Republican nominee for Public Service Commission.
I understand that you will support the party, being a member of it, me being a member of the media. I'm not bound by any other rules that y'all are, and I respect that.
I will be supporting the party, but voters need to vote their conscience.
I like that answer.
To the people of Alabama, I would say go exercise your right to vote on November 8th.
I hope all Alabamians come out and exercise their right to vote on this, and make their voice heard. That enough's enough. They just can't keep stealing from us like this. And this is our money. I mean, the government gets the consent of the people to be governed, and we are still a government of, by, and for the people, and this cannot continue.
You know, this is my opinion. The government cannot tell people how to spend. The government cannot tell people how to spend their money. I thought that was what goes on in a socialist country.
True. And I think we have a discussion on that tomorrow night, right?
We will.
We will. Robert, is there anything you want to add into this? Because that's all the questions I had for you. I think this turned out to be a good interview.
Well, I'd like to thank my supporters in the runoff, and I would urge my supporters to get out and vote their conscience on November 8th. But I will be supporting the Republican Party.
Robert, thanks for coming on tonight, man. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Mm-hmm.